We out here live on X.
Yes, sir. So yeah, man. Today is session one of Ciphersession for 2024, and we're gonna hit it from the angle of what got us into this space. Is that what we're doing, yo? What got us into this space, and what we think is gonna happen as the future hits us head
Yes,
on?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. You want to lead us?
Sure. So, just give a little quick backstory on what captivated me into this space. Back in New York a couple of years ago, the last bull run, 2018, 2019, before the bull run, I was working as a car detailer, and I came across Journey Crypto's channel. And I've always been on YouTube just looking for other ways to make money. Something about the character of Journey Crypto made me trust in what he was saying. He didn't seem like a shill, and he seemed like a trustworthy dude. And the words that were coming out of his mouth seemed very sincere, and he had lots of conviction of where he felt that this space was headed to. So, me as someone open to opportunity, listening to this, I became more and more interested in exchanges, looking into exchanges. Now, even further back than that, 2009, I was actually mining Bitcoin. And I did not, at that point, really recognize what was going to happen. I mined Bitcoin, and I didn't fully know why I was doing it. I felt that there was something to this, but I didn't focus in on it. And as the mining back then, I was mining on a PC, seemed to be lagging. And I would just see 0.3 something Bitcoins, or I just remember there were like fractions of a Bitcoin, or they may have been whole Bitcoins, but I was just like, what is this thing? And is it really worth me slowing my computer down? I don't know how much energy this thing is really costing me. And so I just stopped. So I missed out on a huge opportunity, but it happens. And then, so when this came across the table for me again, I said, let me take it a little more serious. I missed out the first time. I remember that I heard about this Bitcoin thing. And one of the first people that brought Bitcoin into my consciousness was James Altucher. I don't know if you guys know who James Altucher is, but he's a very interesting dude, smart. And he was the one who initially made me curious about Bitcoin. And I think that's why I got into mining. But this next dude, Journey Crypto, started talking about the space. And so I opened up my first exchange. I think it was it was more than likely Coinbase. Binance came next, and I started trading a little. I actually learned how to trading crypto, which is kind of nuts. And I think I started off with a couple of hundred, and as I was detailing cars. I would throw more and more money into it because at that time I thought that the fiat house of cards was going to collapse here and there. Then at that moment, so I was like all in, and I was more of a Bitcoin maxi. I thought that that was the most safe way to play it. Had I known, the amount of multiples that you could grow your money with when it comes to alts, I would have maybe skewed my portfolio a little more heavy on alts. But I had no idea like what XRP was. I had no idea what much of the crypto space was other than Ethereum and Bitcoin. So that's where I put most of my money. I definitely came up not life changing, but life changing for the moment. Like I was able to later on move my family out of the East Coast, come down south, and have strive for a better way of lifestyle because of that initial investment. And now here we are, man. We're about to get back into what many believe is the next bull run, plus much more adoption. We got the Bitcoin ETF. A lot more eyes are on this space. So the potential for a larger bull run, and people that experienced the last bull run can take that experience and hopefully come up a little more and learn from both mistakes and the things that they did well last bull run. So that's a long-winded intro to how I came into this space.
Dude, that's awesome. So you're telling us that you're sitting on some Bitcoin right now, is what you're saying.
Shit.
I know
Honestly,
you don't want to say. You don't want to say.
I looked.
We get what you were saying.
I actually tried to go back into my old hard drive to see if there was anything there, and no luck. But it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah, my story is a little different. I was working at the hospital at the time, and I remember one time, and I still have it in my notes. Like I went out with some friends after work. We had a couple drinks, and I hop on an Uber, and this guy was talking to me about crypto. And at the time, it was like 2017, 2018. I was like, yeah. And then, dude, he mentioned Ripple. And I was like, yeah, I don't know that. It was like 10 cents or 15 cents or something. And I just didn't pay no mind because he was like, yeah, you got to download Coinbase and all this and that. And at the time, I was big into cannabis stocks because, it was like before, like, it became legal, like in New York and Jersey and all that. So I remember writing it down in my notes. And I was like, one of those cab rides where you had a couple drinks, you're on the way home. I just wrote it down. And I never really paid attention to it. And then in like before COVID, or I think it was 2020. It was around either the COVID era, and I linked up with E. Actually, my cousin working at the hospital, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm buying Bitcoin." And at the time is when everyone was saying it was a scam and this and that. Remember, it would like jump up, and people were getting crazy returns, and then it would just drop again. So it just kept doing that, and I was like, I don't know, man, that sounds kind of iffy. Like this cannabis stocks is where it's at. Long story short, I linked up with E, and then we just like having a couple of drinks, and he's like, "Yeah, this crypto thing." I was like, "Yo, just break it down to me," because I never really had anyone explain it to me. And then once he got into the whole XRP ledger and how money moves around, and at the time, it was a little bit after I got married. So I remember having to wire money because we got married in the Dominican Republic. I remember having to wire money, and I remember like it wasn't crazy amount of fees, but it was like substantial. When he broke it down, he was like, "Yo, think about someone who's like, supporting their family back in Panama, Mexico, Dominican Republic, and who's sending money weekly. Like my mom used to do that, so I can relate." So he was like, "Yo, maybe the $50 or $100 they charge you to wire, some payments for your wedding planner doesn't seem like a lot, but imagine if you're doing that on a weekly basis, monthly basis, that shit adds up. And then I was like, shit, it's true. And then he was explaining how money moves around from bank to bank, and anytime that it exchanges hands, there's a fee associated with it. So then I was like, damn, that kind of makes sense. So then I just kind of, it was a weekend and we hung out. We were at the Poconos, like our families and stuff. And then Monday morning, I remember just getting back home, and I was just like reading all about it. And then that was it. Then I got into it. And then my boy Los, who's actually on here, he was talking to me. We went out one time, had a couple drinks, and then he was talking about mining, and he was getting into mining. And I was like, oh man, that sounds pretty great. So I got a Doge miner, and then I got the helium miner. And I think at one point, helium at the top of the market, it was like almost $3,000 that I made off a couple months. So I remember it was pretty dope. Los, Chris, you guys want to jump in and talk about your entry into crypto? Did I rug?
It's all good, no pressure. I see that in crypto news, Bitcoin is nearing 45K. So, what do you guys think? Many people are saying this is a bull trap. Many people are saying we're going up. Like, I personally, I can't call it. I have no clue what the hell's going on. And if it goes up, great. And if it goes down, even better, because I feel like I am not just yet ready. I do not have my bags to where I want them to be, at least for an off season. I don't even have, stake in Bitcoins or Ethereum. So this bull run, I'm playing it completely 180, a different manner than what I did last bull run. But yeah, 45K, 4-week high. Bitcoin is reaching. Coinbase 3% higher, and Marathon Digital has jumped 4.3%.
I think anywhere from 80K to 100K by the end of the year is possible. I don't think it's going. I'm not gonna say it's going there, but I think it's very possible. Just because, like, if you look back at its movement, like it can do like a 2x. You know what I'm saying? In a couple months. So I think that's likely. But I also think that we don't know, and anyone who tells you that they know is full of shit, because you can just speculate.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's a game of probabilities, and that's why you want to hedge. That's why you want to kind of do the money management thing, right? But like personally, I don't even have a bias right now. I'm just kind of watching, and there's just so much is going on in the macro, where it could go either way, especially it being an election year. But historically, they do say that the powers that be try to pump the market so that they look good, so that they could say that the economy is doing well, so that they could possibly hold on to power. So that would kind of lean towards what you're saying, where we could, and I think, yeah, definitely 80 to 100K Bitcoin is in the cards. And it could be
Manolo,
a thing
do you mind talking a little bit about, because you're a trader, so you have a better insight on this than I do, but like, like with the movement that it was happening, because I remember when COVID happened, like the legacy stock market was, in the gutter, and then like the crypto market took a dip, but then it started jumping back up. Can you speak a little bit on that and like what you experienced, or what do you think could happen if they just keep printing some more money, and like if this like housing bubble pops or whatnot?
I mean, if they keep printing money, it's like, we up. It's going to be like the same thing that we experienced when COVID was happening. Now, I'm taking a look at the charts here. It seems like we got some nice support at 38, 39K. I'm looking at the daily chart. Now, we got a lot of selling pressure from 49 down to 47. So right now we're at 45,310. If we could bust through and close above 47, if we could have a solid closing day above 47, that's super bullish. So,
and just a little, let's backtrack a little bit just for people who, because we're gonna potentially put this out on YouTube, and someone who might not know what we're talking about. But when you're talking about support, that just means that it's a level that it's been consistent at, right?
Yeah, some people say that there's no such thing as support. It's like just price action, and there's different schools of thought. But for the sake of simplicity, and from me, what I'm seeing with the candles and the wicks from 38,627 just about to 39,161, right? There's a huge wick, meaning there was a lot of buying. So it was a lot of buying pressure at that price, which would lead one to believe, and there's like an order block, meaning there's a red candle that closed at 39,261, and at that same level, when we opened up a new day, volume came in and there was buying pressure all the way to 39,661. So that block from 39,200 to 39, you could say 760, there's a huge block of just interest in buying. So it would take a whole lot more pressure, just a huge amount of pressure, of selling pressure, in order to break that wall, if you will, of like support.
Interesting.
And the opposite we see at the 47,100 level. The last time that we reached that level, we spiked up for the day to about 47,900, and we sold off at 47,137, and that's where it closed. So really 47 is, I would say, the next level to watch. I'm thinking, look, tomorrow's Friday. We could possibly see, if not by tomorrow, because historically, like I've always looked at the weekends as the days where we sell off, but Bitcoin could always surprise us. I'm willing to say we're going to hit 47 by Monday.
Okay, you heard it here, folks. But it's not financial advice.
Not financial advice, but there's a likelihood we're going to hit 47 by Monday.
That's awesome, dude. Yo, we got our third co-host in the room. Yo, E, you gotta catch up, man. You gotta tell us your crypto story, pretty much how you got in. If you want to share that whole Asia story, I think it's great. And then if you want to just touch a little bit on the XRP and AMA, what it is and the current situation.
Yeah, my bad. I'm a little late. Got caught up.
Welcome, welcome.
The XRP Insider.
Been in crypto for got involved into it, I would say late 2019, but heard about it actually in 2013. My mother sent all the kids an email letting us know that there was this fancy new technology called Bitcoin, and that she wasn't sure what it was, but should we look into it? It's funny, I still have that email. So that was kind of like the first taste or the first hear of actually what we now consider cryptocurrencies. And then
Props to mom on the ball. That's incredible.
And in the space.
Oh yeah, she's
Shout out
also in
Lorraine.
space now. And then I had the opportunity to head over to China in about 2019. And when I was in China with my company, I went there. We went to visit. We have a large stake in Tencent in China, which is kind of the equivalent of Google here in the States, kind of. So we went there for a bit, got to see some nice tech, went to DJI. And then while we were in Shenzhen, I was walking around with some colleagues, and I realized that a lot of the places where we went wouldn't accept cash, and they wouldn't really accept credit cards. So you had to download the Alibaba app and then fund the account. And so when I went to Starbucks, I wanted a coffee one morning while we were there. And when I bought a coffee, when it was time to pay, they flipped over the POS system. There was a QR code there. I took out my phone, opened Alibaba, scanned the QR code, it pulled the funds, and it left. And so that kind of really made me see what a cashless society kind of looks like. And then it just made my wheels start spinning in terms of, I go down these rabbit holes, and then I started thinking about like the digital race to see who would control monetary data or digital data. And then I started researching into China, and they were creating their own digital currency, and the US was talking about the FedNow system. And so then that made me go down the hole of looking into digital payments and kind of evaluating cryptocurrencies a lot more. And at the same time, the space that I kind of work in now, there are times where sometimes domestically, not internationally, domestically, we have to send large sums of money. And so while I was researching crypto, I came across XRP, and they had this tech that I thought was they were trying to solve for cross-border remittance. And then it just made me think about the overall process of sending money globally, what that looks like now. And then I started kind of thinking about that in terms of the cost of sending money I thought about it from the standpoint of someone that comes to the US from another country to try to work and send money back to their family, and the cost of sending funds from the US to another country through a source like Western Union and the fees associated with it. And so then that made me understand that there's a problem within the payment infrastructure, and that there's a lot of middlemen collecting fees. And then that got into a rabbit hole of the exchange rate and how it takes so long to send money. I'm kind of ranting and jumping here and there, but while I was looking into cross border, I had an instance where I had to wire domestically a large sum of money domestically within the states, and I had a deadline of 4:30, and I think I started trying to send the payment at around 2:30 in the afternoon, and it was like 4:15, 4:20, and I'm like sweating bullets. I'm like, holy shit, deadline is 4:30. And it just made me kind of start thinking of, we send text messages now, and everybody receives them right away, right? And technically, when you're sending money, they're ones and zeros, so it's a data transfer. So then it made me start thinking about how can you become more efficient at transferring that value, um, and that one technology in specific, XRP, stuck out just because of what they're trying to do in terms of cross-border um, remittance. So then I got into that was the first token that I kind of jumped into. And then after that, I just went down the rabbit hole. I bumped into a few other uh, tokens that I currently hold, um, which have tech that I like, that are promising. It was just me more so trying to take a view of where we are today from an economic perspective, and where I think that what would the future look like in 2030, but applying crypto because I like it, as well as life experiences, like the experiences of the interactions that I have with my son, and like the what I spend cash on with him is video games. But then you spend money in video games, he'll put $20 into Fortnite to buy a skin, but then if he only spends $10, that $10 resides within the video game unit. And so it was just kind of trying to understand, could we get to a point where everything interoperates, where the money that you have, you take with you all along? Like, why can't you take money that you put into Fortnite to buy a skin, and then the $10 residual, why can't you buy Starbucks coffee with that? It's your money at the end of the day, but there are just nothing speaks right now. There aren't any rails for that communication to happen. Um, so it's those rails that are being built that I'm excited about. And could we get to the point where we live in a world that's full of interoperability, where you have liquidity that occurs instantly, right? Like, you can transact, you can liquidate stocks to buy your groceries, as an example, right? And you have all these smart contracts that work on the back end that can figure out what the tax component of that is, and kind of start, right? This is very, very down the road, but if you think of where we are now, it's just a starting point as to where this thing could expand, right? In terms of everything, like where does gaming go? And you see all these things that are happening now with, like, Apple Vision Pro, right? How does that integrate into the metaverse? How does Neuralink affect that? How do you interact with these payments within the metaverse? It's just, there's so many things that can happen. And so those possibilities are the type of things that I like. I've always kind of been a dreamer. So the more far reach the thought, I think the more excitement that I get. So not everybody sees the space the same. A lot of people think that cryptos could be bad, technology could be bad, AI could be bad. People have a bad taste in their mouth because there are a lot of scams in crypto. Um, so yeah, that's kind of, I know I spoke a lot and said a lot and jumped around a lot of places, but that's a little bit of the gist of it.
That's great. Also, next time you have any issues sending money, you could just test my account. I'll email it to you and
Send you a little
send me
something
something.
extra.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But since you spoke on XRP, I think it'll be a great segue if you can explain the Ripple AMA.
Oh, the AMM.
Sorry,
Yeah, it's
AMM.
so there was a few things with that.
No, but explain what it is before you get into the whole
So
news of it. Yeah.
the way that I understand it, and very high level, not um, getting technical or anything. It's just, you become a market maker, whereby you have the potential to put your XRP money to work, to create liquidity within the ecosystem that allows the ecosystem to thrive, and you can earn some cash while doing so, right? You become a market maker for the network, in a sense. And so um, it's a feature that has not existed. Automatic market maker has not existed on the XRPL. They had something that's similar, that they're called order books, but AMM is a little bit different. They were trying to release it recently. So in the XRP space, there's a lot of different cryptos, and I view cryptos potentially as various different thoughts, different religions, different countries, different beliefs, different ideas. Everybody thinks their crypto's the best. Sometimes there's various thought processes. Their crypto's the best. It's going to thrive. I'm of the opinion that there's going to be a lot of winners because, like I said, if you interoperate everything and everything starts interconnecting, it's almost impossible to only have one crypto doing that, right? There's so many things when you think about it. Derivatives, gaming, just so many things. So um, a lot of
And
people.
can
Yep.
I pause you for 1 second,
Yep.
just so that because you touched on something that was great, just so people understand when you talk about interoperability, what we're saying pretty much, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. It's like we're at the point right now where like a Yahoo email cannot communicate with a Gmail email. Is that correct?
Uh,
I'm trying to explain it in someone who was not too familiar with the space.
yeah.
So like I think it's at the point where like now, anyone with any email can communicate with each other, but crypto is at a point where like not every blockchain can interact with each other, right?
Yeah, well, that's not every. Well, you have the ability to exchange value across different networks. Like you could buy, not necessarily exchange value, but you can always buy different cryptocurrencies. I'm talking about more. In right now, what it is just people buying tokens. It's still a speculative asset because there's still no um, actual use cases that are being applied. You have some that are happening with some corridors that XRP has. You have um, certain things that are happening, but it's not in on a massive scale. It's, I would say, in its infancy. So right now, people in the crypto space, you have traders that are trading fluctuations and they're buying and selling just like regular stock market. You have people that are buying crypto because of a story like mine. Then there's different people that have different stories. Maybe they work with a specific sector, and so they heard about something. And so right now, it's just a phase of pretty much accumulating tokens. People are buying tokens with the expectation that those tokens could go up during bull markets and bull cycles, and they're playing those ebbs and flows in the market. I'm more interested in the long term effect of it, where you have connection, up to your point, between networks where they just become like highways, and you have connections where you get an on ramp onto one highway and you drive on that highway for a little bit and it's nice, but then you can get off at the next exit, go onto another road, and it's just a network of systems that'll eventually connect. We're just not there yet, and how they connect for the purposes of what they do when they connect, that's all unknown. But there's a lot of tokens that are doing um, a lot of things. So where I was going with that, when I was talking about the AMM and I was talking about the different religions and sects within cryptocurrencies, is that there's a lot of people that say that the XRPL is centralized, and their rationale behind the centralization of the network is that Ripple has the majority of the tokens locked up, and because they have the majority of the tokens, then they become the central authority, and so that's centralization. This AMM feature was supposed to be released, um, and what happens is that there's validators on the network, and each validator has to vote to determine whether or not something will pass on the network. And when they were almost at the point of reaching full approval, people started pulling back because they found a bug within the code of the AMM. And so by people starting to pull back, the code wasn't introduced. And there was a lot of commotion going on with the people within the community and developers, and they were saying that, you know, some people took the approach of they don't understand why it wasn't released. They were under the assumption that it wasn't that big of a bug, and so they could have went forward with it anyway.
And was that a vote?
Yeah, it's vote. It's votes.
Okay.
It's all the validators cast a vote. Some validators casted a yes vote, but then when they found out that there was a bug in the system, they changed their vote from yes to no.
And when you're a validator, does that mean you just hold enough XRP to be able to make a vote, or do you have to have some sort of tech to make
Well,
that kind of vote?
a lot of them run nodes, so they do validation of transactions within the network. Similar to the way when you think about it, how miners mine Bitcoin, those are like nodes on the network. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
the validators then pulled their votes back. The AMM wasn't, obviously, it didn't go live. And some people were bummed out about that. But my biggest takeaway from that is the fact that it didn't go live as a result of validators not coming to consensus on a change because it had a bug, which means that in itself is decentralized, right? Because if it was centralized, it would have been like, all right, one authority would have been like, who cares about the bug? We're just going to put it into production. But the majority of the validators that voted no said, no, we want to fix it before it goes into prod. And so that pulled the amendment back, which just shows that there has to be some form of decentralization in that situation that allowed for that to happen, right? Um, so
And that's the power of crypto, right? Just like it gives everyone a vote pretty much. And to your point, the equivalent of like Apple releases some sort of software, and Apple holders or users are able to say like, oh no, we're not comfortable with that. Is that correct?
yeah, exactly. It's almost like you're let's say you could take it in terms of you're making a decision with some friends, and you got your 5 friends, and you guys think that you're really good friends, but you're independent thinkers. You each have separate or decentralized thoughts, and so you guys make decisions together. If you all agree on it, then the decision is made. In a centralized model, you hang out with a bunch of friends, but one person is like, this is what we're going to do. And then the rest of your boys are like, all right, we're going to do that because you say it's cool. That's a centralized model. In a decentralized model where you have a bunch of friends, there's a something that's proposed, an idea that's proposed. Somebody comes up with an idea or an amendment, and then people take a look at that amendment and they decide whether or not it makes sense for the benefit of the network. And if it does, then it gets approved. And if it doesn't, then that's where you have things like forks. Like that's what happened one time with Bitcoin, because they proposed something on a network and not everybody agreed on it. And so instead of moving forward with it, they created a fork and then they went down. So you could have potentials where a decision doesn't get approved, then it could create a fork in the network. But that didn't happen. So a lot of people are excited about the AMM. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Awesome, dude. Do you want to open up the space a little bit for questions? Maybe someone has some questions. Yo, Chris, Lorraine, Robert, what's up? Any questions?
Or anyone. Fino, I don't know if you did Fino give a little introduction, or just Fino, feel free to speak up.
I think he's just here for the vibes, dude.
Oh, true. Gotcha. Yeah, but
So,
that's pretty much.
outside of XRP, can you touch a little bit about? So, just when he mentions XRPL, that just means the ledger, right?
Yeah, the
Can you
XRP
explain
ledger.
what else? I think when people think about Ripple, they just think about XRP. Is there anything else that XRP or Ripple is doing aside from just the actual remittance payments and solving for that you think is pretty cool or that we should be looking into?
I mean, there's a lot of things that are Ripple's working on what Ripple's trying to accomplish, and they're trying to become, as Brad Garlinghouse said, they're trying to become the Amazon of payments. And so the XRPL or um, is efficient enough as a mechanism to send payments. They also have I can't remember the name of the other tool they have. It's escaping me right now, but yeah, there were a
They have
few.
XRP Cafe or something like that, right? For NFTs or
Yeah,
something?
well, the XRP Cafe for NFTs. There's a few projects that um, they're trying to launch on the. It's a ecosystem. It's kind of funny because it's a the XRPL is very efficient in many things, and even the but it's efficient for payment stuff, and you can do other things with it, but not a lot of people know what to do on it yet. And so one of the things that would help, obviously, the XRP ledger is if more people were using the ledger or the DEX, the Zum wallet or the Zamp wallet, which is the same thing. Because there's a decentralized exchange that lives in there where you could swap tokens, and it's super efficient. It's a good wallet, good security, but it's also a decentralized exchange that allows you to do a lot of things. I just think not enough people use it um, to kind of move volume around. Um, so in terms of the XRPL, it's going to be either multiple things going on at once, where you have developers that are developing on the XRPL. Um, and at the same time, you have Ripple doing what they're doing in terms of cross border remittance. Um, but it's a very efficient network. Um, so sometimes it's a little too boring for people because of its efficiency. But other than that, on the network, trying to think here.
Outside of Ripple, you're also big on Quant. Is that correct?
I do like Quant. I think it's a pretty good tech. I got into Quant a few years ago. There's a few cryptos that I think have potential. I think that whenever you talk to anybody about crypto or any cryptos, like I said, there are so many tokens. It's just that there are a lot of tokens in crypto that are trying to solve for a problem that doesn't exist, and that's where you run the risk of getting into trouble. Like if there's a token being created that's saying that it's going to solve for something, but there's either not a problem there, or crypto's not the resolution to every single problem. It can't solve everything. There are just other things that are more efficient than that in some capacity. So it's just really kind of looking out for, like, I don't know, man. It's like there's a lot of Ponzi schemes out there. There's a lot of scammers. There's a lot of shit that's evolving in the crypto space. I know that like I said, I'm gonna just jump around, but I know that we were briefly talking this morning about there was a new, not new, but there's a proposed change on the Ethereum network with an ERC 404 token. Well, not ERC 404 token, but right now there's things that are called ERC 20 tokens, which ERC stands for Ethereum's request for comment, and then ERC 20 tokens are fungible tokens like crypto tokens, and then you have non-fungible tokens, which are your NFTs. The ERC 404, what it does is it combines the two into one. So there's currently a project right now called Pandora. And so what they do is they have tokens, but then they create an equal amount of NFTs related to the token. And so when you buy one Pandora token, you automatically get an NFT. And those NFTs vary in rarity, but you need to hold one Pandora token in order to get one NFT. And because of that ERC 404 that merges fungible and non fungible, it has the news outlets reporting that the SEC may have to classify Ethereum as a security. Now, whether or not that happens or where that goes, I have no idea. But it's a wild, it's something very wild to think about, you know.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
what would happen if it were to be deemed a security? It would be pretty wild.
Dirty Gary at it again.
You know it. So what about you, dude? What did I miss? What's good with you?
Dude, you missed it. I gave everybody a Bitcoin in the space. Nah, man, everything's good. You know, I appreciate everyone coming out and supporting. You know, it's the first one, and hopefully we just keep growing and having some good conversations, man. You wanna? I know it's 8:30. We said we were gonna go an hour. Do you wanna close it out? Any final words?
Chris, what's funny, man? Chris is laughing.
Yo, Chris, come on the chat, man. I know you got some questions.
Send him a request.
That's them Queens cats, man. I don't know. You might be trying to run a scam up in here.
How do you
No,
even send a request?
tap on his name and then he's up here. He's up here. On mute, Chris. Tell us what's up. Long time listener, first time caller.
What's going on, Chris? You're on mute.
Pleasure
On the
to meet you
bottom.
guys. I see
There
you.
you go.
Listen, first time user. I got Twitter or X today. I don't even know how to use this thing thanks to Johan, but that's kind of been my journey with this space is this discovery through conversation, you know, and he's great at it. He puts me onto some things and he has been giving me financial advice regardless of what his states.
Just hit me up after tax day.
Yeah, right. You know what? My taxes are very funny, so forget about it. I don't want to involve you in that. But pleasure to speak to you guys. And thanks for including me. I like it a lot. It broadens my horizons. Make me think. It makes me think about a lot of things. And in the space that we work in, I mean, I'm trying to apply blockchains to things that don't really make sense for the moment. But I see opportunities everywhere. I really do.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, I think if you think about especially what you hear in comments that you hear going around, or even the verbiage of the tokenization of everything, if you can imagine a world where everything is tokenized, then you can pretty much do anything that your mind can imagine in that world, within that space, in terms of anything. Once things get tokenized, I mean, I think it'll be a game changer. Of course, that'll take some time, and you have to run through the rigmarole of what that looks like. How do you actually get things on, right? Because through tokenization, you have to also be accountable for shit. So let's just say you decide to tokenize all socks. Initially, you have to figure out a way to get that initial count valid, or the first sock valid. So you have to make sure that all your T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Otherwise, garbage in, garbage out. So I think those are going to be the tricky things. I think the other thing is just the on and off ramps. I think within this space currently, I think right now you have some exchanges or some exchanges and dexes that you never heard of. They could be sketch. And so how do you build um, on and off ramps that are safe for people to get on and off? Um, and then like I was at a Bitcoin conference once, and one of the comments that someone made was, yeah, but you know, why do you think this is going to go anywhere if it isn't easy for like my aunt or my grandma to use? And so what I said to them was, it's at its infancy, right? Like right now you're at the point where the majority of people go to a bank and interact with money and have no idea how the banking system works or how money moves from one place to another. I think eventually you'll get to a place where you're interacting with crypto, but you don't even know that you're interacting with it.
I think real estate is going to be the easiest one, right, for tokenization. Like if you think about like now, most people can't afford a house because of the down payment, you know, like not everyone can, you know, put up 30, 40, 50K, 100K, but you know, it's much easier to probably come up with 15 grand and put that into some sort of building or property that can you can buy a piece of, you know. I think that's probably going to be the easiest route for
Yeah,
tokenization.
100%. And I mean, if you just think about real estate, um, hopefully there's no real estate agents on the thing on the chat. But if you think about real estate, whenever you go to buy real estate now, it's an asset class that's results in so much money. Like houses are so expensive that there are literally jobs that were created to capture a piece of that, right? You have lawyers to do closing costs, real estate agents to help you shop around, people to tell you that you're pre-approved or you're not pre-approved, right? You can easily, you don't need, once you have smart contracts, why do you need a lawyer for if you can create a smart contract that can do that on the back end? So you cut that out, right? So then that strips away part of your, you know, you can almost get rid of your closing cost. A lot of fees kind of go away. And so um, I think things change in the future. I think a lot of the middlemen roles kind of go away. The data entry that can be replaced with either AI or a smart contract, I think those go away. Um, so yeah, real estate is a really good one.
We got the legend Nolo back. What's up, Nolo?
Yo, can you hear me?
Oh yes, loud and clear.
Nice. Just going to the point that E was talking about with tokenization. Like right now, there's a huge like bottleneck on liquidity. So like how he was saying, you know, you could sell a product, but you can't necessarily sell a product, buy stocks with a portion of that product and a little real estate, and then sell some of the stocks for Starbucks. You can't just move it as you will. But with tokenization, it's like we're going to have so much more flexibility to move a small amount of funds that we receive for our work, not only faster. So say, you know, right now we have to wait 1 or 2 weeks to be paid for the work that we do today, which will help many, particularly lower class and people that, you know, are struggling at this point to get by. But it will open up many doors for them to have the ability to help themselves. Just reading right now on Forbes, there's a digital asset story saying specifically the Boston Consulting Group estimates the market for tokenized liquid assets will be 16 trillion, which is only part of the story. they conducted a survey with BNY Mellon, finding that 91% of institutional investors are interested in putting money to work in tokenized assets, with 97% agreeing tokenization fundamentally will change the world of wealth management. So it's like a stigma when we're talking and using the word crypto, right? Because like to the point that he was saying, you know, there's a lot of rug pulls, a lot of scams that are going on. But on the flip side, these are digital assets. These are the rails of what's coming in the future, and they're being laid down at this moment. Things that we could never imagine doing, and the speed at which we will be able to do them will take place within, you know, just the next 10 years, and if not sooner. It's like it's been said many times, there's a new paradigm shift and a great wealth transfer, which I think digital assets will be that net that could capture the great wealth transfer that we're going to be living through within the next couple of years.
%100%, dude. It's funny because I
Yeah,
was thinking about
it's like,
one time he was mentioning to me about kind of what you were saying, right? Like the reason why it takes most institutions and jobs 2 weeks to produce a check for someone is because it takes, you know, they have to do the time card and they have to move funds around and all that and clear it. But like I think he once mentioned that, like, think about a system where you work a day and then, you know, by the time your shift is done, maybe an hour or two later, you get paid for that day. Like with this kind of technology, it's very possible to have some sort of system that way.
They actually have something that already um, exists like that. It doesn't run on crypto, but there's this thing called Wisely, where you can actually, if your company signs up for it, um, they have something where you can, if you get paid every 2 weeks, or let's just say every 10 days, on day 4, you could ask to get paid. You'd get paid up through day 4, and then the offset happens when you get paid. So I think that those movements, I think even if you just take a look around, there's a lot of things that are happening now that I think to me just indicate that there's a huge shift in everything from a technology perspective. You know, the things that's happening with the like I said, the Vision Pro. What does that evolve into? Um, Elon Musk's Neuralink. What does that evolve into? Chat GPT, what does that evolve into? All these other AIs, what does that evolve into? And so as technology continues to evolve, you just have to naturally think that everything evolves. So money will evolve like everything else. And so if you can look at the way that we're evolving now from a technological perspective, then what do the next 10, 15 years look like, right? Like what does it look like in it's now 2035, and does the financial world still look the same, right? Are we interacting the same? You already have things like Zelly, which can send payments, but what you don't have is the connectivity between all these various layers. So I think what some of these crypto networks can do is to help facilitate that, um, and just create a world of interoperability. Like World Wide Web is a worldwide web of data, um, that links internets across the world, and you can send pictures, emails. And so, since money is data, how do you incorporate the ability to send funds into that web seamlessly? And I think crypto is a good way to do that because you have individual wallets, and the individual wallets have unique IDs, so you have some safety there, right? The way I like to think about these crypto wallet addresses is like email addresses. No one can have the same email address, right? No one could have Johan knows at yahoo.com if Johan already has it. They'd have to be Johan knows one at Yahoo, and then Johan
I tried.
knows
I was trying to get
two.
Spanish Fly 101, but I couldn't get it.
So I think those things like that are what make it interesting. No one can predict the future and where we go, but in a world where things would become tokenized, if we do go down that road, right? Like everything in life, it may not work out that way, and things don't end up getting tokenized, and it goes a completely different route. But still within that, there's a 50-50 chance. And so I rather be in and lose than not be in. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Fellas, it's past my bedtime.
No doubt. I'm actually gonna jump off whenever we're done. I'm gonna jump off. I'm gonna finish watching the Putin interview.
Oh, is that out?
Yeah, that's out.
Oh,
It's on X also, so support the platform.
yeah, I'll be checking that out. All right, fellas.
Yo, thank you everyone for showing up and supporting, man. We appreciate it.
Yes.
We're just trying to, share the knowledge that has been given to us, and just keep moving it forward. We're hoping to be back next week, same time, 7:30.
We'll be here.
Same time, same bad channel.
That's it.
Woo.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you. E, you want to
Uh,
hit us with the cipher out?
Ciphersession deuces. We out.
Peace.